1140.
Or listen on the Sactown Sports app.
All right, time to bring in the heavy hitters here as we try to figure out where the Kings are right now and what tomorrow night holds for us. Nice stuff to join us. All-time Kings icon, former coach, assistant coach, general manager, player personnel director, TV analyst, and general manager of the Monarchs. The media room or the media entrance to the Golden One is named after him.
See it every day.
Yes, the great Jerry Reynolds. How are you today, Jerry?
I'm really good. I was telling Jay, I'm just looking forward to Kings getting home and seeing if they can continue, I think, much improved play.
Mm-hmm. Was in your opinion, the officiating as bad as a lot of Kings fans and DeMar DeRozan think it was last night, Jerry?
Yes, I think it was. Mm-hmm. I really don't like to get into the officiating too much, not like I did when I was coaching, when I just begged for every call like a pauper. But still, I thought the Kings really got a bad whistle, and it certainly had an impact in the game. It happens, so it's over. But the Kings certainly played well enough to win.
Is it true, Jerry, that you once suggested to an NBA official that he just give his whistle to Magic Johnson since they were calling everything for him anyway?
That's exactly right. I remember doing that, and Magic seemed to agree with it. Because he did. He said, "Yeah, that's a good idea." I said, "Yeah, well, might as well." Magic would. I always remember drove down there, and there wasn't a call made. He wasn't fouled, and then he started bitching, and about 3 seconds later, the second official called it. Are you kidding me?
Legend, coming into the road trip, I think if you would have told any Kings fan and or the Kings, the organization, the team, the coach, that a 3-1 record would be capable at the end of the road trip, they probably would have took it. Am I right in believing that, or am I wrong in that?
Well, I think you're right in believing that. I know I was. I mean, I think they did kind of what they needed to do, and certainly Denver's an outstanding team, especially at home, and they certainly could have won the game, and they're getting terrific without, two main guys playing. Just getting, the bench of the Kings now, when they get healthy, all of a sudden they got a really good bench. And so, yeah, I'm just really impressed with Coach Christie. I think he's just done a marvelous job myself.
Jer, as you know, Jamal Murray was fouled shooting a three times last night. He made all 9 of the free throws. At least one of those was maybe a questionable call. But how can the Kings contest better without fouling?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, that is such a tough thing with the 3-point shooters, because they're always bodies are going to send them forward, and a defender, as he's moving, is always his body's going forward. So you really have to come at it from the side, just try to contest from an angle. You just can't go straight at the shooter. And it's obviously, if you can't go straight at the shooter, then it's not bothering him near as much. But it's such a penal call, And then, as we all know, and certainly the Kings take advantage of it too, is the shooters know how to, kind of put a little finishing touch on it, flopping around like a fish or something.
Legend, the fourth quarter execution within crunch time minutes, for me, for the Sacramento Kings, since probably the last 2-3 weeks, Zach LaVine being intertwined, JV being intertwined, Jake LaRavia got some crunch time minutes last night. I think they just are, and Whitey made a great point, they're Debo eccentric, DeMar DeRozan eccentric. How do you get out of that? How do you change what seems like it's already becoming a habit?
Yeah, that's a great point, because it does. I mean, Debo is so good, and the team, just has a habit of just, okay, we'll throw it to DeMar, and then we'll clear out. And at some point, whether he's going well or not, it doesn't really not good offense. I mean, you're getting guys standing around too much, and I think you just almost have to get into more called plays. Where you've got 5 guys, where 5 guys are involved with options, and certainly you're still gonna if you don't have confidence in the five guys out there offensively, then why are they out there? Everybody should be a threat to score if they've got an easy opportunity. And it may be that the called plays that you might want to run structured in those situations might be plays that would benefit Zach LaVine or DeMar more than others. That makes perfect sense. So, but I think just getting a little more control of where the shots are likely to come from.
How about this, Jaron? You may have just answered that. You may have answered this question with your last response, but after the game, we know Doug said, there are some plays we'd like to run, some things we'd like to run, but personnel on the floor weren't familiar with it. And Jake LaRavia, after the game, he said, yeah, we didn't run things well. And he said, that's on me. He said, I don't know the plays. So I'm not criticizing him, but what can a coach do there? You've got a lot of new players. There's stuff you want to run, but you're not sure everybody knows it. How do you deal with that as a coach?
Well, I do think it's a legitimate problem for new guys when they haven't had a lot of practice time. But I would say that's exactly what shoot-arounds should be. Less shoot-around and maybe more walk-through play-arounds. I've always said, I've always thought, always remember, Dean Smith that told me once, he said the thing he liked to do in short practices, things like that, was always a point of emphasis. In other words, focus on one thing.
Yeah.
And if you have to, if you got an hour, spend an hour on that one thing and get it right. And I think that's kind of what's called for. In other words, you've got a couple of things that, say, your new guys aren't familiar with. Well, get them familiar.
Joined by the legendary Jerry Reynolds, the do-it-all for the Sacramento Kings and Monarchs as well, of course. Jerry, one of the questions I thought we talked about a little earlier in the show was the lack of a point guard last night, and more or less Malik Monk, being missed. Did you see any room for Markelle Fultz, even though he didn't seem like he was having a good game? He was real inconsistent. Did you see any room for Markelle to be put back into the game?
I really didn't, and I'll tell you why. I think there's a role for him on this team, but he hasn't found his comfort zone yet. He's supposed to be a playmaker, and right now he's not making plays.
Yeah, he played badly last night. Yeah, he didn't look good last night.
His turnover rate is higher than his assist rate, and so to me, that if I were Coach Christie, I wouldn't have a lot of faith there. I'd probably play pretty much the way he did, given the circumstances. But I think that going forward, I've seen Markelle, when he was able to make a lot of plays and good turnover rate. And so you hope he gets there, but it's been tough on him, when you come in, being out of the league for half a year, and certainly against the Denver Nuggets down the stretch, I certainly wouldn't have been real confident, to be honest.
I thought last night, Jared, what did you think? I thought the Kings did a good job on Jokic and not a good job at all defending Westbrook.
Yeah, well, in West, you're exactly right. I thought the job on Jokic is maybe as good as I've seen anybody do, and I credit to Doug because, basically putting a smaller guy fronting him and then using Valanciunas as kind of a big rim safety guard.
Yeah.
I thought that was outstanding. You gave up a lot of open looks to guys who you really want to see open, for the most part. If you're gonna try to beat those guys, but Westbrook's just Westbrook. He's just he's just a guy that just out hustles you, outworks you.
He has a gear. He has a gear that not everybody has, doesn't he?
He does. Yeah. He really does. That guy. He just simply, even when he's playing bad, you can never fault how hard he's trying.
Right.
And no, I thought, he might have been the difference maker. And the young player that got Brown, he's got a lot of that going for him. Just a high energy, find a way to win guy.
Yeah. Jerry, I'm going to put the loss last night behind me because I'm intrigued by tomorrow's matchup. And excuse me, Whitey, if you have another question on last night's game, but I just got to get the legendary's opinion on, someone who may be considered legendary around here by many. De'Aaron Fox returning back to Sacramento. Jerry, what's your take? Are you excited? Are you intrigued? What are you looking forward to tomorrow?
Well, I am excited because it's the San Antonio Spurs, led by probably former King De'Aaron Fox, but it's the Spurs, and we need to beat the Spurs. And I will give De'Aaron a hand before the game, and when the ball goes up, I won't give him another hand.
That's it. Yes. Yes.
So he and I think if I were Coach Christie, I'd say, you guys, if you want to visit with him friendly before the game, that's fine, and after the game, that's fine. But if he drives down the lane, maybe see how he bounces off the hardwood.
What kind of reception would you guess he will get from fans? What kind of reception do you think he deserves from fans, Jerry?
Well, I think he deserves a good reception. I mean, I would never tell anybody how to fan. I mean, if you bought your ticket, you got a right to do what you want to do. I would never boo a De'Aaron Fox, or I really wouldn't boo any former King. If you don't boo them when they're there, why would you boo them when they're somewhere else? And so now some fans may have booed De'Aaron when he was here. I don't know. And then that wouldn't be hypocritical. But I'm one of those that I really enjoy De'Aaron. He's a fine young man, a good family man, and just brought a lot of thrills to me as a fan of the Kings and all, and didn't end the way I thought it should. But that's another issue. It's America, freedom of choice, and that sort of thing, for the most part. So yeah, I hope that he's, they give him a little tribute, and hope that he gets recognition that he should, and hope. But it's also true when he's introduced to the game, he's just De'Aaron Fox. It ain't nothing mokey. You better not go overboard on it. may have to come out of the stands.
That's right. Legend, who are you not knowing if Malik Monk is going to play? And I'll just say, going off our last starting five, who are you giving a task on sticking De'Aaron tomorrow, coming straight out the gates when the ball tips?
Yeah, if Malik can't start, then that means Keon's, I would assume, is just starting, and that's your guy. I mean, I think he's the perfect guy to make it tough on De'Aaron. I also think Keegan can make it tough at times, just his length. And so if I were Coach Christie, and I'm sure he's done in the past, he'll throw some different looks at him, which what you should. Now, what you don't want to do on that team, though, is get carried away with De'Aaron and forget Vassell, who can and the young gun from Connecticut. That kid is he's a blaster. I mean, so yeah, they've got some weapons there, and I mean, and De'Aaron is certainly a key player for him, but I don't know offensively if he's as dominant there as he was here.
You mentioned Keegan, Jerry. Of course, Jerry Reynolds with us, and maybe I'm nitpicking here, but he'd been playing so well. And then last night he worked his behind off defensively, but he only got 7 shots. And I just feel like opportunity lost there. Or is that just the way it worked with DeMar having the big night?
Well, there's no doubt. There's only so many shots. And I as great as I thought DeMar played very well, but I did think he probably, I don't know that there's ever a need to put up 32 unless you're getting about 60 points.
Yes, sir.
So that much, and that those are shots that somebody else could have had. I mean, but I'll have to, Keegan's got to accept part of the blame there. I mean, you got to go hunt your shots. I mean, you got guys that are looking to score every time they touch the ball, which isn't a bad thing. But that should be your approach as well.
Yeah. Legend, you were kind of a soothsayer last time we had a conversation with you. You talked about the tired legs of Domantas Sabonis. And, I know you weren't forthcoming with an injury, but now that you've seen things take place, what's your thoughts on Domantas being hurt here the last couple of games?
Well, it is interesting. I don't know that that's what happened, but I mean, I do think when players get worn down, and I just thought the way he played those 2 games, it just wasn't Sabonis-like. there's a few plays where you just saw him struggling to move and and things, and so the body has a limit, and I think that's kind of what happened, and I hope that obviously gets healthy and he gets his rest, and we can have the best of Sabonis the rest of the way. But if there's ever a guy that has an excuse to be worn down, it's probably him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know the High Flyers made this point, Jer, but isn't one of the problems here when you start Valanciunas? He's playing very well, but the Kings had an advantage when you'd go to Valanciunas off the bench and he's going against other teams' second-tier centers, right? Because he's good enough to be a starter. So Valanciunas playing well, but without Domas, you kind of lose that edge that you had.
Yeah, and there's no doubt. I mean, I don't know that any team's got, center combination is good in the league now. And I think Coach Monty McNair has done a great job of, getting Valanciunas, which has obviously been a terrific pickup overall, and especially now. But Laravia, I thought now is starting to make shots, and you just love his scrap and hustle, and I think Markelle will come around, and so what it tells me is when Monk and Sabonis come back, this is going to be a deep bench, which they need because they probably don't have the star power of some of the upper echelons, but having a deeper bench probably is going to give them a chance every night. I like the defense is better. I think improved, and I'm high on the Kings. I really am. I hope it's just not my purple Kool-Aid pumping through my body, but I just feel like they're on the right track. I don't know just how far up they might go, but I like where they're heading as opposed to where you're seeing some other teams maybe heading the other way.
Yeah, I agree. There's been some whispers, and I think I know where you fall on this, Legend. There's been some whispers of a return of Royale maybe tomorrow.
Oh, Lord. That may take all of my enthusiasm right away.
Why have they not called you and consulted about Royale, Legend? There's got to be
there's
something
a lot of
wrong.
things that they call it consulting me they wouldn't do. I can tell you that.
Oh, boy, the schedule doesn't get any easier, does it? You're home against the Spurs. All right, they're struggling. Then you got Saturday, you play the Clippers, and then you got the Knicks on Monday. Then you got the Warriors next week, Jer. This is a tough stretch.
It's a really tough stretch, and obviously you the Knicks are really good. Obviously, the Warriors, you owe them one. I mean, it's if they could somehow get 3-1 in this stretch, that really puts them great spot. I mean, and it has to start with the Spurs. That's the one you have to get.
Yeah. Are you?
That's not saying and the Clippers the next one. And the Clippers seem to be heading the wrong way a little bit. So it would be nice to because they're clear competitors for positioning, I think, as well as the Warriors.
Yeah.
And Spurs you got to get, and if you had another one for sure, you just had to get to be the Warriors, just because I don't like them.
There you go.
That's right.
Yeah.
What should tell you? Speaking of don't like, what's going on with the Lakers? All this winning.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. So isn't that depressing?
Yes, it is.
I tell you guys, I got to. I got to tell you something. I caught myself watching them and enjoying them.
What?
Oh,
yes. I was so ashamed of myself. I was here by myself, but I was like, what? They're making some great passes and shots. And it's like, holy, what's happened to me?
Oh my goodness.
It's like, my God, it's like the devil is entered my body. So I did. I got up and I just took a shower. I said, you got to get past this.
You should have called somebody, Joe. I could have come right over and helped you out.
I was going to say, I'll keep that in mind because I hope I won't allow it to happen again. Yeah. Well, they'll come back down there, surely. Because you don't suppose they'd like to see the Lakers and the Celtics in the final, do you?
The league, I'm sure they'd rather see the Cavs and OKC, Jer.
Yeah, that's what they want. You're exactly right. I'm sure Commissioner Silver's never even hazarded the thought there.
Right.
Yeah, anyway, but how about, by the way, the Pritchard and White going for 40 each in the same game?
Yeah.
When your fifth and sixth man can go for 40, that means the Celtics probably still pretty serious threats, I'd say.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Peyton is Whitey's guy.
Yeah, well, he should be. He's a tough kid. I tell you what, he just keeps getting better and better, and probably as far as an open shooter, I don't know who you'd necessarily, other than somebody like Curry, put ahead of him. I mean, that guy is a basket maker, you know, and so I've enjoyed watching him a little bit, but I'm still, like I say, I'm just ashamed of myself for a minute there. I enjoyed the Lakers. It happened for about 3 minutes. And, it'll never happen again. I'm ashamed.
Does it feel any better to have confessed? You know, now you got it out there.
It does.
Good.
You know, I mean, I think a person should be able to be person enough to admit their weaknesses and their failings, and clearly that qualifies on both fronts.
Yeah, I'm sure just looking at the response here. All the Kings fans forgive you, Jer. Bless you. Yes.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah. Well, it won't happen again. I'm sorry.
Bless you.
You know, I'll make it up to you.
We appreciate it as always very much. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Jer.
Thanks, you guys. Take care.
Yeah, the one and only Jerry Reynolds. I forgot about the Royale factor tomorrow night, Jay.
Yeah.
I
hope he doesn't make a return.
Was it the Warrior game where they kind of previewed
the Warrior
Royale
game?
Coming back?
No, I think it was one before that. I didn't make it to the Warrior game, so I had to be prior.
Whichever game it was, they were showing.
What's game before the Warriors game?
I'd have to look, but I do know that
games are
right then when I didn't even realize what it was at first, and someone said, "Oh, Royale's coming back," and I said, "Oh, I know when he's coming back." Because De'Aaron's the one that basically sent him on his way.
Yeah. Ushered him out the door.
Yeah. Isn't there enough going on tomorrow without bringing Royale back? Well, we'll see. We don't even know for sure if that's what is happening. But interesting comments from Jerry Reynolds, who's with you, Jay, as far as that 3-1 trip. You know, 3-1. Hallelujah. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. When we come back, DC sticking up for Keon Ellis next. Drive Guys Sacramento.